I was inspired to talk about a topic that may seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but is actually quite important when it comes to classroom management. The topic for today is time management. No, not yours. That cat's been out of the bag already. Teaching students the importance of time management is one of those soft skills that should be tucked into your lesson plans. So how do we do that? Simple. Hello teachers from around the world, and welcome to Legendary Educator, the podcast that helps you improve your performance in the classroom and have more engaged and motivated students. My name is Ramis Takawi. I'm a teacher and instructional coach, and I created this podcast because I'm passionate about education and about students achieving their highest potential. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes as they drop. The funny thing about time, well, funny and dreadful at the same time, is that it's the only non-renewable resource that we have. Time doesn't grow on trees. You can't dig for it. You can't fish or harvest it. When it's gone, and there's no getting it back. This is one of those key life lessons that you need to instill in your students. One of my key phrases when I was a teacher was, "I don't control time. Time controls me." This was often said when students asked me for more time to work on their activity or finish their task. Now here's the thing. You're not an idiot. You're giving your students the exact amount of time needed to finish their tasks. Actually, you're giving them a little bit more than necessary, for those kids in the back to get a chance to finish as well. Hashtag differentiation. But when this period of time is flexible, what usually happens is that students will often procrastinate for the first little while, then realize time is running out and get started on their task half the way through, and inevitably not finish on time. So they ask for more time. What you do next will shape your students into the people they become. Procrastination, for the most part, is a learned habit, unless you have ADHD, but that's a whole other podcast. Whether you are consistently giving your students more time or consistently being firm with your time rations, will teach your students how to act in times where their tasks are timed or their time is limited. Be firm and consistent. This relates very much to what I'm talking about today. In general, humans have an innate ability to waste time, especially if the span of time seems to be endless or flexible. If there is no clear end in sight, we won't use the time efficiently to complete our tasks, because we'll always have more time. This is even more true for young people who are still developing their time management skills. But when there is a definite, clear, concrete time limit that is firm and consistent, then we are able to schedule ourselves to complete the work on time, without wasting any of the precious, finite moments that we have. What do I mean by firm and consistent? Well, if you give your students 5 minutes to complete their task, then it's 5 minutes, not 8 minutes, not 5 minutes and 5 seconds. If you give them 15 minutes, then it's, you guessed it, 15 minutes. No exceptions. No matter how much they whine and plead, you know what to tell them, don't you? I'm sorry, I don't control time. Time controls me. Consistent means no exceptions. This is something that you establish early on in the year and have it ingrained in them by a few weeks in. Just like any of your expectations. If you clearly share it with them at the start of the year and remain consistent in enforcing it, then they'll be able to learn it. It becomes second nature, and you won't have to keep reminding them. Probably. If you have a screen in your class, it helps to project a counter or a stopwatch on the board. And even better, get yourself a hilariously large hourglass and put that on your desk. That'll get the message across. Some teachers even have an Alexa or Google in their classroom. Hey Google, set a timer for 15 minutes. Yeah, my Google just set a timer for 15 minutes. But that way, Google can keep track of time instead of you. And you even get an alarm that reminds the whole class that, hey, 15 minutes is up and it's time to reel it back in. It helps when students see the time counting down. And if they know that the teacher will not give them a few extra minutes to finish, you better believe that they will finish on time. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's time that you'll never get back. But I hope you've gained something from it. Remember that our job isn't only to teach what's in the textbook, but to create positive and successful citizens of society. And that means teaching things that aren't necessarily in the curriculum. Call them life skills, call them soft skills, call them the hidden curriculum, call them Frank, whatever you want to call them. But they're just as important as the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. That's our show for today. Share this episode with your teacher friends who might benefit from listening to it. Don't forget to rate this episode and subscribe. I'm Ramos Takawi, and this is Legendary Educator. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.